We're here at the Laurel Triathlon Training Center. I'm here with 12-time Ironman champion Chris McCormack. Chris, good to see you.
You too.
So we got a new book out, I'm Here to Win, and you certainly have done a lot of winning in your career. What's your wellness philosophy in general?
My wellness philosophy is really being active. I've always been active since I was a boy, but I think making activity part of your conventional lifestyle, and I've only ever known sport as a choice in life, and so I'm up early. I tend to get out and do something before I do, before breakfast, and I follow that before dinner at night as well. So just being active, being aware of what you're doing, and get out and enjoy life a bit.
And is there a technique you use as far as getting yourself mentally prepared?
No techniques. I just tend to focus on the little things, and I think motivation and getting prepared for anything is, I wake up some mornings I don't want to do, go out and train, but I think, I always say to people who lose motivation, the key step is just getting out of bed, turning off the alarm clock and getting out the door. So that technique for me is putting the alarm clock on the other side of the bedroom, so that when it goes off, I have to climb out from underneath those blankets, walk off, turn it off, and get out the door, do that first session, and if you're still not motivated, you still don't want to do it, then go home.
And one of the things people would probably assume is that you're a fanatic, you're so obsessed with your diet, but in your book you said that you're not a monk. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and I'm definitely not a monk. I think a lot of people associate triathletes or Ironman guys as these ridiculously fit people who have no life and eat lettuce and lentils. But I've got 3 kids of my own. I understand that living in this world, it's very, very difficult to live that way. So I try and work off this 90-10 philosophy, and 90% of the time I'm eating well, and 10% of the time I maybe not be. My kids enjoy candy just as much as any other kid. I'm not the father who says, no, you're not having that. I tend to eat candy with them. So it's, as long as you're aware of what you're putting in your body, I think that's the key.
I'm an American man, so I have one thing I have to ask you, because I know I'm about to get my butt kicked. Can you throw a football?
I can throw a rugby league ball or a rugby union ball, but no, I can't throw an American football.
Trying to keep up with the Ironman here. Your typical running workout, how many miles you doing?
6 to 10 miles is a good workout for us, but I tend to run a little bit off time, 45 minutes to an hour.
And obviously it's summertime right now, very hot. How do you deal with the heat?
Oh, it's really hot here in New York, but running in the heat's key. I'm gonna make sure you're hydrated. Try and run in shady environments. It's tough to, when that sun's beating down on you, it can make a 45-minute run feel like an hour and a half. So
good stuff. Cool. Good stuff. Okay, so we're here on the bikes. Tell me what your typical road work would be getting ready for the bike portion of the race.
It obviously differs every day, but I like to get out in the open road most of the time, where I'm trying to get in about 400 to 500 miles a week of riding. So, I'm riding 6 days a week. In Australia we're lucky, we don't have lots and lots of cars, so 60-mile rides are pretty common. Changing the pace up a little bit, going out with a group of friends. It's the key for us is just making sure you get it done.
And what's your philosophy as far as the bike is concerned in the race? Do you have a strategy? How do you prepare?
The bike's a strength of mine. I think I'm a relatively big guy, so I can put out some power, and in my sport that is, and so I try and be aggressive as I can be on the bike. In my swim against some of these key swimmers in my sport who grew up as, for me, I didn't grow up as a swimmer. I lose a bit of time there in the water, so I like to make that up very, very quickly on the bike. Give myself a little bit of a margin of error before I start the run, so get away as quickly as I can and set a good tempo, stay there and get the job done.
In American sports, a lot of team sports, there's a lot of trash talking on the field. I know no one's talking to each other when you're swimming, maybe a little bit when you're running. Is the bike, is that a chance to maybe give a rival a little nudge, or you do the talking before or after the race?
Yeah, I do. I tend to do it, in the press,
right.
In my sport. It's funny, it's called trash talk here at home. It was just called friendly competition.
And in your book you said it's like preparing for war, right? So you're preparing your diet, your training program, so that's sort of the mental component, and some of those elements is all connected, right?
I think, in triathlon it's always been considered such a physical sport, and when I came along I saw the key the key issues for me as an individually was when things went pear-shaped for me, I was falling apart mentally. So I thought, why couldn't I apply that to the other guys and think, well, my best way of beating these guys is to attack them mentally. And you know, when you're suffering and that question's being asked by yourself, oh, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this anymore, it's your decision to slow down. So if you can put that fear or those doubts in your competitor's mind, they ultimately click that switch off at that key moment. Makes my job a lot easier.
We're here at SoulCycle, one of the hottest fitness places in the city. So it's sort of my home court, but I'm going to try to keep up with you.
So you do this a lot, huh?
I actually do. I do spend a fair amount.
You can tell you do a lot. You got a lot higher cadence than I have.
Oh, I probably have less resistance.
Oh, okay.
Which could be.
Oh, okay. Now we're talking.
See, I cranked your resistance up.
Yeah. He's strong.
And how much of your exercise is recreational? Is everything training, or do you ever have some fun?
A lot of it's fun, to be honest with you. I actually enjoy training's just been a way of life for me since I was a kid. I, 2 brothers and a very active family, so I've only ever known exercise, and so it's always been enjoyable for me, and I think that was why it was an easy transition to sport and pro sport, I guess, to some degree, because I enjoy it.
Talking about the actual race itself, when you're on the bike, how fast are you going?
Our average speed is, last year it's about 41, 42 kilometres an hour, so I'm trying to do my miles here. I've been working with Americans, it's about 25, 26 miles an hour average for 112 miles. We're running 240 marathons off the bike, and the swim's 2.4 miles. We nail that in about 50 minutes. So it's tough work. It's a tough day at the office, I must admit.
So when you're training, how many calories are you trying to take in a day?
During the day, I'm, I tend to follow that same routine during the workouts as I will in a race, so I don't have any issues on race day. But, I have a set eating pattern during the day. I'm trying to, actual calorie intake, I don't really count. I just really look at what I'm eating during the day, and I don't tend to have a high calorie intake. My key for me, in my sport, I'm considered a relatively big guy. If I was a footballer, I'd be tiny, but for me, the key is watching the calories and, watching the output and keeping that weight within this range that I know is my key race weight.
And in the book, you actually had, I was laughing, I said your sports drink was something that a lot of people wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I think the best sports drink in the world is Coca-Cola. I discovered that when I was suffering out on the lava fields in Hawaii, one of the hottest triathlon events you can do on the planet, probably the toughest race, and I've been told by these sports physiologists that to steer very, very clear from Coca-Cola. I grabbed the Coke at one of the aid stations because I was in a bad way. I took a sip and it was like instant energy. I thought, man, what do they put in this stuff? And, it was, it's become a key component of my nutrition plan since that day on.
You never know where you're going to find it next.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they designed it for sports, for athletes, but yeah, it works when you're depleted on sugars.
When you're doing sub 8-hour Ironmans.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you.
It's fun.
Cheers.